that is key because a lot of people don't want to say that, especially in today's time. They don't want to say that because there's this, I don't want to say a push, but there is this talk about equity, right? Equity in the relationship. And then from a foundational and a traditional perspective of relationships and things like that, it's like men have always been the authoritative figures in the relationship, whether it's religious wise, society wise, and things like that. It's like the man has always been the head of the household. And the head does not mean, dictatorship or tyrant, as
Right.
some people may have experienced a dictator in their relationship
Absolutely.
or a tyrant. But it's when you have that mutual respect. If I applied for a job and I get that job, I applied for that job knowing that I would have a boss that I would have to
Yep.
report to, right?
And you
So
also you also know the roles and responsibilities of that job.
hopefully,
Like, yeah, like the job description is clearly posted.
yeah,
And I said I do, and she said I do, and we accepted the roles and responsibilities of what that
come
job,
on.
which yeah, yeah, but I will say that there are moments and there are times
Hmm.
where she becomes the boss, like the pants
Hmm.
trade a little bit, and like she wears the pants a little bit, and I wear the pants a little bit, and there's some I like that term equity. I really do because equity does not, to me, does not mean equality. They're two different things. And
Hmm.
equity, when I hear equity and when I think equity, I think ownership. And I firmly believe that I have a 50% ownership stake in our marriage and she has a 50% ownership stake in our marriage. And in order for like, I mean, at any given time, she could sell her equity and I'd be left alone, and I'm not here for that. So it's valuing and respecting her equity in that relationship and her ownership piece in that relationship, and understanding again that everything we do is in service of said relationship.
That also goes back to navigating communications when your energy is pulled in different directions, especially too when you're married, you come home to the house, but then you're literally just either coming off from work or from hanging out with the boys or something like that, or doing something to where there was a transition period from you went from A to B. And
Hmm.
so there's a communication style that was needed there that now needs to either continue over and transition slightly because now you're in a different environment to where that communication may work and may not work. So
Right.
it's like when you're in those places, what does that look like with
Yeah.
you? Because it's like you're a leader at work, you're a leader at the home, but how you lead on the job can principally be translated into what happens in the household as the man of the house.
So, man, the situational awareness is key here, right? Like it is absolutely key. And in order for any style of communication to be successful, you have to take into account the emotional or the yeah, the emotional level of the secondary party. And like whether you're talking about what color the sky is or who you voted for, there you have to take into account that emotional involvement and that emotional
Can you
level.
say that again?
Whether you're talking about what color the sky is or who you voted for, you got to take into account the emotional involvement of that human.
The
And
emotional involvement. There we go.
yeah, and so coming off work, right? Like my job is to direct traffic. Like let's just kind of sum it up, right? I'm gonna direct traffic for 150 employees on a day, and I'm gonna make sure that the overall project is successful. And then but I'm directing traffic, answering questions, directing traffic takes a lot of brain waves, all that kind of stuff, right? So I get home, and like the last thing that I want to do as a human is to continue to direct traffic. Like I am exhausted. I don't want to do that. I want to come home. I want to sit in my office, pour myself a scotch, and check out. Nah, that's not real. Like no, like that's not happening. Like it's just not. There's 100 different things that have to happen, and examples, right? Examples tell the best story, and you know coming home and I have a bunch of aquariums. So that's another piece about me. I have a bunch of animals, bunch of aquariums, right? So coming home and one of those aquariums burst and I have 250 gallons of water flooding the house, I am going to direct traffic in that moment. I am not going to take into account anybody else's emotional state. I'm going to solve the problem. Everybody in the family becomes my workers. They're going to become the my direct reports. They are going to report to me. We're going to solve the problem as quickly as possible with the least amount of damage. Now, on the converse to that, I come home and wife is overstimulated. Kids are being crazy. Dishes are piling up. Floor's dirty. It's regular familial stuff, like the regular day to day. And in that moment, it's not, I'm going to take over and tell everybody what to do. That's not what's going to happen because that's not respecting her equity in the marriage. And what I'm going to do is come in, give her um, an emotional service. So in this moment, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna hug her, kiss her, tell her I love her, say, all right, how are we gonna tackle this? What are we gonna do together? How are we gonna solve this together? And we're gonna divide up whatever the crap is and take that crap, separate it into two piles. I'm gonna take my pile of crap, you take your pile of crap. We're gonna make them not crappy anymore, and then move on. And but at the same time, it is I am exercising control in the situation and I
Mm-hmm.
am understanding what my wife needs in that moment. She's understanding what I need in that moment. We both need the problem solved. Like we both can't continue to live in this problem. So we're going to figure the problem, we're going to solve the problem together, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
very together response and it's a very and like that these ramifications are far reaching, right? So like my son, my daughter, they see these responses. Like, I'm not going to come in and I'm not going to be a dictator and I'm not going to yell and say, daughter, your job is to now clean the floor. Do it now. Son, your job is to do this. Do it now. Wife, your job. Why are there dishes in the sink? Why is the floor dirty? Like that is not going to solve anything. All that's going to do is drive a wedge between myself and my family and create this barrier that I don't ever want to be there. Like I don't. We're all have equity in this life that we're building together. And not respecting their equity is the number one recipe for um a grandpa at 75 with nobody around him. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not what I want. I want to be dying with a big old huge family right around me that love me and tell me all the fun things that we did and all the life lessons that we taught and all the trips we took and not remembering the fact that daddy got home from work and was an asshole. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I want. So it's, respecting equity.
Yeah, and you also talked about, having the ambition of what I would like to do when I get home, as opposed to catering to the intimacy that was needed, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of men, I'm learning that men are learning now, right? Intimacy is more than just physical affection, right?
Absolutely.
Beyond the sexual needs and things like that, but it's the closeness, the alone time or the separated time or the I see you moments, like I hear you and like you were heard. Like what they say in the restaurant, heard when they give an order or something,
Yeah, yeah,
heard, and
yep.
it
Heard.
actually, yeah, delivered on it. When to allow your ambitions to be forefront, right? And
Yep.
when for them to take a back seat to the priority which is in front of you. That takes a lot of humility, I think, and it takes a lot of consideration that's outside of yourself, right? Because ambitions by nature are ego driven, pride
Hmm.
driven, dare I say, somewhat narcissistic
Yeah.
in pursuit. Let me correct that. Selfish ambitions,
Yeah.
right? Because you can be ambitious as like at work, and you and the team have a goal to be the best at XYZ. That's not selfish ambition. It's a team goal, unless you're motivated for some ulterior motive as to why that needs to happen. But
Yeah.
that's self retrospection that you need to do and reflecting on what your motive is for being a part of that. But when it comes to separating out the ambitions from the priority when it comes as a man in the family, that takes a lot of skill, to do that type of work, because you have to lay stuff down or at least
Yeah.
put it to the side for a little bit because of like, the scotch is aged. I'm pretty sure if it waits a little bit longer, it just gets more
It's
aged,
good. It's
right?
still gonna be good, right? Like it's still
Yeah,
gonna taste good. It's
yeah.
still gonna satisfy that piece. Man, I this is a wonderful, wonderful conversation for a lot of different reasons because I think that you sit on social media and you scroll through social media and you talk at you listen to both sides of the proverbial coin, and it feels like there's a wrong answer and there's a right answer. And I don't think there is. I don't think there
Mm,
is. I don't think that there's I don't think that way. I think that you as a man, you walk into home, you walk into work, you walk into the bar with your friends, you walk into a store by yourself. There is responses that are required based on the situation. And you know, these secular or these individualistic ambitions that are not in service of an overall goal, whether that be work, friends, or family, right? Like they are categorically important because you the the last thing that you want to do is lose yourself, because if you lose yourself, then you have nothing left to give to your family.
mhm,
You have nothing left to give to your friends. So you have to be able to invest in these, and you have to be able to um, find time to grow these ambitions so that you don't become disenfranchised and you don't become resentful of the people around you. So it's this idea that one of the things that I have found success with is it's like mutual reciprocation. So I will, whatever my wife is interested in, I'll find a way to be interested in it as well. So,
mhm,
and I will, like, if she's talking about, a stupid example is like nails, right? Like it's small, it's inconsequential, but I have a my algorithm on Instagram has a bunch of nail art, right? Like just because that's something that she's interested in, and I can show her that I care and show her that I want her to nurture this side of her. And she does the same thing. Like I talk about Pokemon cards, I brought up Scotch a couple times, books, whatever the case is. And it's, hey, we're gonna go to HEB to go to the grocery store, but on the way there you want to start by the card shop, and like you can peruse the card shop for 15-20 minutes, and then we do, and the kids love it because they get to see all the cute little Pokemon characters, but I get to look at it from a different perspective. And then I feel seen and heard and recognized, and I'm given that space to um be truly authentic with myself, my
mhm,
individual self,
mhm,
that my identity that is not my kids, my wife, or my job. And um we both her and I understand that the losing yourself is going to be in absolute disservice to the family, and you can't let that go. So it's not all it's not all work and no play, right? Like there has to be some piece of that. And there has to be that moment where I come home and I take the kids, we go outside and we go, play in the backyard with the dogs for a little bit and give her that hour and a half to be able to do whatever it is that she wants to do, not needs to do. Needs to do and wants to do are different things. But that time that she wants, whatever she wants to do,
mhm.
and invest in herself individualistically, and then she does the same for me. And it's a you know mutually beneficial and mutually growing ourselves and our relationship, because you can't lose yourself. Like you can't lose your own individual identity. Doing so is the death of a relationship.
You talked about something that I have been saying, or at least hoping somebody listens to, is the mutual reciprocity, right? Um, Taking an interest, not even just taking an interest, but having a genuine, authentic interest that you choose and intentionally express in the other person, right?
Hmm.
I have demonstrated that in my own relationships, right? I can tell you, like my friends, the ones that are close to me, and even the ones that I've known for some time, I can tell you what they're into. I
Hmm.
can tell you what they like. I can tell you their focus is, what stirs their passions and drives them. because I've made it my goal to understand them, to to know what it is that makes them tick, right? Even when was in a relationship with my almost fiance, I knew everything that she liked, right? And then there are times where you look at different relationships and they have no clue about who you are.
Yep.
Like, even if you have showed them, told them, once, twice, three times over, and you repeatedly look at that, and you're like, I have told you this multiple times and you can't remember it.
Hmm.
And then it becomes, it's like, well, it's not about can you remember it? You don't want to remember it. But when it comes to you, it's like you get mad when I don't remember these things about you. It's like, well, now I'm starting to see that this is a one-way road. This is a
Yep.
one-way street. And now I have to start making different decisions. And people don't understand what I mean by an expressed interest. Having an
Hmm.
interest is one thing, but an expressed interest means that you're demonstrating that you are interested and you want to know. And so I have found that without an express interest, it becomes a double load carrying situation.
Yep. I mean,
Because, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's like I can't say that I've ever experienced that romantically because, I'm a lucky man and I've been with my wife for, as I said, 17 years. But I definitely have experienced it professionally and platonically. Like
Mm,
those things are there. And um it's you like I said, without that mutual reciprocity or that, expressed interest, that's the death of a relationship. Like it just is. Somebody gets tired, somebody gets overwhelmed, somebody gets resentful, and you end up not cherishing the time that you had together, but feeling as though that time was a waste. And
mm,
you wasted an investment, wasted brain space, emotional space, and it it is the death of that relationship. And I there is an immense amount of value to be gained from growing. And there's an
mm,
immense amount of value and to be gained from being exposed to something that you wouldn't be prior. So, taking that interest of somebody else who may be into a different form of music, a different whiskey, a different drink, a different book, a different style, a different political ideology, whatever it is, and doing your own investment so that you can have a deeper connection with that human, and you grow as a result. So
mm.
it's the relationships are these wonderful and painful two-way streets that you learn a lot, but you also you can waste some time and you can
You
waste some growing
you
potential.
talk about wasting time, wasting money, wasting energy,
Oh yeah, yeah.
my goodness, it's like the level of poor stewardship you intend. Maybe that was a trigger. I'm somatically pouring out right now. You guys give me a moment. Because it's like, but you know what? I had earlier today three things, right? Um, I was looking at something on Instagram and it just popped on my feed and it reminded me of a moment when my brother was away at school, high school. He was with this science academy, right? And
Hmm.
he came home. It was like almost midnight, right? My dad went to go pick him up, and he was coming home, and nobody knew. They obviously the parents knew, but my sister and I didn't know. And so I heard this noise coming in, and I was like, "Oh, I recognize his voice." So I was the little brother, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna play a prank, right, and a
Hmm.
joke." So I was in the bed acting like I was asleep, and so when he came in to surprise me, I didn't respond. I was like, "Oh no, get off of me! I'm sleeping."
Hmm.
Blah 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 blah. But then, when I looked at the video, the little boy in the video, his brother had came to surprise him. He had been in college, and I saw his response to his brother doing that. And then I realized I was like, oh crap. I realized what I did,
Hmm.
right? That moment that would have been to see the joy of being surprised. I deprived my brother of that because I wanted to be, funny or something like that. And then I now look at where our relationship is and how that moment could have helped strengthen the bond,
Yep.
and prevented some of the things that we've had falling out, or the gap. And so I had to sit right before we started this whole episode. I had to sit with that because it was undeniable, the impact of that childish thinking. Even though I
Yep.
was a child, that childish thinking impacted because um I reflected on how my brother responded to that because he was so excited. He was so excited to do that and to have that moment. And my immense immaturity really hit him in a way that as an adult man, I can see. And I'm like, man, I
Mm.
messed up.
There was a situation not long ago that, I had something very similar, and I was the you in this situation, and without exposing too many details here, but
Mm,
I, kind of blew up something super big for somebody I care about a whole heck of a lot, all because I was angry, and I found out a really negative way that somebody I care about had a pivotal moment in their life happening, and I had this built up idea of who I was to this person and what
mm,
this person was, how I would be involved in this situation, which
mm,
no,
mm,
that's not on him. That's a me thing, right? Like I had this in my head. Like I had this in my head about how I was going to be, how involved I was going to be and what my role was going to be in this, and that
mm,
had this super narcissistic streak. And man, I every day I regret how I responded in that situation, and because I can feel and I can see the ramifications of that with my family, my extended family, like all of it. Like I can see it and I can feel it, and everybody, uh, everybody kind of talks about how it's no big deal. Like everybody apologizes and everybody's fine, but man, the damage is done.
yeah,
Like you,
yeah.
yeah, I did the damage, and I take responsibility for it. Like there's no one at fault but me. I was the bonehead in that situation, and you talk about the childish behavior, and you were a child, like you were a kid. Like there's built-in maturity conversations to have there because you're
Mm,
a child, you're an infant. And I was not. I was a 32-year-old man and 33-year-old man, and I had I blew up a relationship, literally like dropped a nuke on a relationship just because I had some cockamamie idea of how I was going to be involved in a situation.
mm,
And it is you learn, like we talk about growth and we talk about like these moments of reflection and these moments of growth and like how I can be better. And that is a situation I hope I'm never in again. And I hope that I never have to, or let me put it this way. I pray for the opportunity to do it over again, but I don't want to,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like I don't want to experience um or anybody I care about to experience that situation again. And it's a I was an adult, man. I was a man that I feel in control of my emotions. I feel in control of who I am as a person. And boy, did I not express it in that situation and blew it all the way up. And
mm.
it sucks. It's a
Yeah, yeah, it does. And even and I hear what you're saying. It's like, oh, I was a child and things like that. Even at that age, I had a level of awareness,
hmm
right? I had a level of awareness because like my family, we're all very smart, we're very intelligent, and we've been like that. We were kids, and everybody is super smart and intelligent and things like that. So there was a point, and I remember this because it's like I had to do the work and diving
right.
into. There was a point in that exchange where um the shifting from leave me alone to actually showing the surprise and stuff could have happened multiple times. And I chose, and I know this, I chose to hold on to that because I was also angry because he had left. I was
Ah,
mad.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
mad because it's like at that time too, I had other things going on in my life that nobody else knew because I was the youngest and
Hmm.
I was always left by myself and nobody talked with me, nobody played with me and things like that. So it's like I'm always being left alone. And now you want me to be happy you're home. And it's like, what would it be like if you didn't get what you wanted?
Yep.
Right, type of thing. So it's like all of this stuff was playing out in that split moment, but I knew that the shift to just be happy your brother's here because I was happy he was home. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was extremely excited that he was home, but it was like a lot of people have done before. I felt that I'm going to withhold this from you so that way now you know what it feels, and it seems like I'm in control of this now, and I knew that. I knew that's what I was doing. And people do that all the time. It's like they withhold something because they're mad. And it's like instead of just talking about it, I didn't have the language to talk about it and things like that. And yes, it was the childish part of it, but I had sense enough to know because of how I was raised, because of I could have responded and we could have had that conversation. Um, in the morning or something like that. But
yeah,
it's like, so yes, I was a child and yeah, I was being childish, but I also knew what I was doing. That's the
yeah,
difference. It's like I knew what I was doing. It wasn't just immaturity. It's like I intentionally did that on purpose. And that's where these moments like that when people know they're doing something on purpose and it's not just some impulsive thing. I can see if it was impulsive, but that was calculated, that was strategy, that was a
yeah,
strategic. At some point, it wasn't impulsive. At that point, that was now the trauma, that was now the hurt, the woundedness, the all of that was there perpetrating and operating. So it's like I can't blame that on
yeah,
somebody else when I knew nope, that was me. That was
yep.
all me. And so now I'm like, man, I'm like, man, I have to make that up to him. It's like 30 something years.
Yeah, man. And like that's the worst part about it is that, you're living this you're living that moment over and over and over again. And the there's fear of like again, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of all these
Yeah.
pieces where like going and communicating with that other individual about this event and
Mhm.
saying how sorry you are and like how you wish things would have played out differently and like how do you know that they're in the same space you are? Like,
Mhm.
how do you know that they are willing to hear what you have to say and
Oh yeah.
willing to be a present member of that conversation? And so you have this fear built up, and like, I mean, like, do I absolutely want to address with my person that
Oh.
my situation? No, I don't. I don't want to address it. But do I feel like I should? And I like that addressing could improve the relationship? Yeah, it absolutely could, but it could also make it worse because
Yeah.
my he may not be reliving it the same way that I am. And he may not be rehashing it the same way I am. And he may not feel
Mhm.
the emotional attachment may not be there for him, not in a negative way, but it may not have affected him the way that I think it did.
Mhm.
Or and then again, just like in the initial event, I am assigning and projecting my own emotions onto him
Mhm.
and expecting him to feel the same way that I am, and
Mhm. Mhm.
that's just not always real. So the curse is we get to sit and live with it, and we get to sit and say,
Yeah.
oh man, I should have done it this way. I should have done it that way. I should have lived this way. I should have talked that way. Should have done, should have done. And, you know, I think like that is another killer of men is that we are fearful of having these true emotional conversations outside of our safe
Near,
spaces.
yeah, the
And
narrative. Yeah.
yeah, and because we're scared of having them, we just live with them and they sit and they fester and they boil and until somebody somewhere is on the receiving end of it and it all comes out all at once. And
Yeah.
that's that control piece. It'll circle back there is that being in control of self and not letting your regrets be the fuel for
Mhm.
somebody else's victimhood is is imperative.
Yeah.